Join nearly 1,400 entrepreneurs and students at the 2013 Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization National Conference in Chicago, October 31st through November 2nd. Visit CEO.org for more information. That's C-E-O.org.
This is Michael Lukes from the Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization, and very happy to be joined by Idea Chef of 678 Partners, Parissa Behnia. Parissa, thanks a lot for joining me.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and 678 Partners.
Thank you for asking. So I've in the 20 almost-ish years since graduating from business school, I first started out in a more of a corporate, let's say, marketing life. And then in 2007, my position was eliminated at Citigroup, and I looked around, and I had some jobs in between here and there, but I realized it was the time to take ownership of myself, take ownership of my voice, and what I knew that I could share with others. And so with that came the development of 678 Partners, which is a marketing and business development consultancy. I, along with my partner, Amir Rafizadeh, we work with senior-level executives in the C-suite to kind of diagnose whatever problems they may be having in either retaining customers or attracting new ones, and then diagnosing that further to see if this is more of a lead generation issue or maybe it's a marketing and communications issue. Then once we go from there, that's when we kind of develop a strategy. So if you can imagine that it's a marketing mercenary or a Navy SEALs type of approach, is that we swoop in, we spend time with a company, and then once our work is done, we kind of clean up and leave. That would not be a bad way of describing 678 Partners. We're not a marketing agency. We don't have copywriters on staff or anything like that. It's more of a strategy approach.
And you serve as an idea chef. What is an idea chef?
Well, I have a passion for food and a passion for cooking, and as anyone who's a novice to an expert chef knows that in order to get a meal on a plate, you have to whip up certain types of ingredients. You need seasonings. It needs to cook for a certain period of time, or if it's cold, it doesn't. But let's pretend it's a hot meal. It needs to cook for a certain period of time, and then it ends up on a plate. So that's kind of how I approach working with clients. I tend to like to have a 360-degree view of everything. I look at what the opportunities are, just like you would look to see what spices you have in your spice rack, just as you see what types of vegetables you may have in the refrigerator, what types of proteins you might have in the refrigerator, and based on what all you see your available options are, you whip up a meal, or in this case, a strategy in your marketing kitchens or your business development kitchens. I tend to be a more blue sky creative thinker. I like standing in front of a whiteboard and imagining what the world could look like, as opposed to seeing only what my limitations could be. And so being an idea chef, or calling myself an idea chef, it helps other people understand that I like to explore what appears to be impossible and to make that impossible into possible.
Have you always been entrepreneurial?
Yes, but I didn't realize that I was entrepreneurial. And what I mean by that is right after business school, I started off at American Express. And any kind of job that you get, whether it's a part-time job or full-time job or whatever, you're given a set of specific things that you have to do in order to get your paycheck at the end of it. So I always looked at my job description and I say, great, I can do all of these things. And I did all of the things that they asked of me very well. But then I looked around and I said, well, how could this be better? Or how could I make this more interesting? Or how could I drive more results for the business? So I always added projects above and beyond the scope of what I was asked to do because I thought it was interesting, because I thought it was compelling, because I thought it was creative. Now, at the time, in my mid-20s, I didn't realize that was entrepreneurial. And going into my mid-20s, my late 20s, into my late 30s, I was always doing this. I was always given the random project at work because I knew I enjoyed it. And again, it didn't occur to me that was what actually embodies entrepreneurship and being entrepreneurial. And giving myself the permission to hang my own shingle, now I own it. And now I think it's very exciting, and when I see it in other people, I celebrate it, and I point out all of the entrepreneurial behaviors that they're exhibiting because I think it's cool, I think it's interesting, and this independent creative spirit is really what I think will help this country continue to be a major force on the global economic stage.
Do you think it's now a product of our times that people are really recognizing more of an entrepreneurial spirit earlier on in life? Because I talk with a lot of entrepreneurs that didn't know they were entrepreneurial, but it seems it's such a deeper part of our culture now and our awareness that people are a lot more able to see that these are, entrepreneurial thoughts and activities.
I think so. Technology certainly helps with that. Also, there are generational differences that are driving that as well. So the baby boomers are very slowly exiting the job market, and so you have newer generations of people who are embodied with new ways of doing things, new thinking, embracing risk maybe differently than what how the older generations embrace risk. The other thing that's true is, especially in light of this very uncertain economy we've had since the bottom fell out in 2007 and 2008, is that people are realizing that there's no such thing as loyalty anymore. So people are getting laid off. It's not unusual for people to get laid off a couple of times. I myself have been laid off 3 times, whereas maybe in my parents' generation, they would work at the same company for 30, 40, 50 years, and then they would retire with their gold watch at the end of it. That just doesn't happen anymore. People don't stay at the same company for extended periods. And so what this does is that this new generation, coupled with the fact that there's so much economic uncertainty, people are really beginning to own the fact that the only person that they can trust really is themselves, or the only people that will take care of themselves is actually themselves. And so you take this kind of budding tendency of being entrepreneurial that was likely always there, coupled with all of this uncertainty plus technology, and then you have more and more people looking around and say, hey, you know what, I'm really smart, I have a really great idea, let me pursue it, and if it doesn't work out, at least I've learned something from it, or if it does work out, hey, great, I'm going to make a lot of money and enjoy myself while I'm doing it.
On behalf of the Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization, I want to thank you for agreeing to speak to students at the upcoming 2013 CEO National Conference. You'll be participating in a star-studded panel focused on 21st century female and minority entrepreneurs. What do you hope to share with the students and young entrepreneurs in attendance?
It's a really great question. I appreciate you asking that. So what we're going to do in this panel is almost a meet the press style of discussion, where we really want these panelists to share their own personal experiences and what they are observing as founders of a startup. 2 of them are founders of a startup, and then the other one is very passionate about minority entrepreneurship, and she's successfully run a minority business incubator in Pilsen, located just a little bit south and west of downtown Chicago. And we really want to point out all of the strides that both female and female entrepreneurs and minority entrepreneurs have made, but at the same time talk a little bit about what some of the realities might be. Not so much that we want to have a boo-hoo and woe is me type of discussion, but there's lots of things to celebrate about entrepreneurship, period, but then there are also realities about female entrepreneurship and minority entrepreneurship that maybe don't necessarily translate to, let's say, white male entrepreneurs. And an example of that is maybe there isn't as much funding available, either from angels or from venture capitalists. So what are the rules that they have to write for themselves, or how do they have to chart their own course to continue to get the positive attention that they deserve? Now, it's not to say that by virtue of the fact that someone's a female entrepreneur or a minority entrepreneur that they should get attention. Only good ideas rise to the top, but there are certain challenges that are out there for minority and female entrepreneurs that we wanted to examine a little bit more closely and then come together to find a way to kind of surpass whatever those challenges might be. Now, what we're really excited about this is we're going to be encouraging some questions from the audience towards the end of the session, and we're hoping to configure some sort of Twitter back channel so that we can collect questions from the audience and truly make this an interactive event. It's great to have a panel and talk to them, but what makes our session really great in my experience is when the students are active, engaged, and passionate about this discussion such that they want to contribute as well. So we have very high hopes that the attendees will really kind of step up and participate.
Do you feel that opportunities for female and minority entrepreneurs have increased over the past few decades, and is there still a long ways to go to even the playing field? I think the answers to both parts of your question is yes. I'm always going to think optimistically. I meet a lot of really interesting entrepreneurs of all stripes on a regular basis. There are some really smart people out there, period, regardless of what color they may be, what their ethnic background may be, or what their gender may be. But as I mentioned previously, there are some things that are some realities of being a minority and female entrepreneur that I think it's good to be wary of, such that we can all kind of take a critical look together, no matter what our backgrounds or experiences are, and see how we can continue to celebrate entrepreneurship and celebrate success. I mean, the reality is, for example, that there's going to be a point in time that anyone who, in the United States, let's say, there will be more people of quote unquote a Hispanic background than there will be quote unquote white. So if that absolutely is the reality, then we need to make sure that the money follows what the reality is. Also, when you look at college attendance rates of women, when you look at the percentage of women in business schools, those numbers are kind of they're kind of imbalanced, and so starting off at very young ages and even middle school, high school, the types of majors that people choose in college, what is going on, let's say, culturally or societally, that you see the percentages in business school, that the percentage of female attendance may not be that of males? What kind of subliminal messages are going on in society, and what can we do with the current female entrepreneurs out there, for example, to set them up as role models to say, yes, I can actually be the mirror image of that person. I can be just as successful as that person. There really is no difference between me and these other really interesting people. So I am now going to give myself permission to pursue this path of entrepreneurship because I have a great idea that I'd like to bring to market,
and I'd like to tell my story with everyone else. So I'm going to look at this very positively, as I like to do, and say that there's great opportunity, and hopefully other people see things the same exact way.
Why are you giving your time to speak to entrepreneurially minded students at the conference?
I think it's a service to the community. I think it's the right thing to do. I believe very much in the spirit of giving, mainly because whatever positive things you put out to the universe at some point in time in the future, the universe delivers all of those positive things to you. Also, I have this great opportunity during this semester to co-teach an entrepreneurship seminar with Dima Elisa, my co-moderator for this panel at the conference. And we're having a great time teaching these 6 students about the spirit of entrepreneurship, and also shepherding them through as they develop independent projects which they'll have to present to the rest of the faculty at the end of the semester. And it actually just so happens that one of our 6 students will be at the conference, so we're really excited that he's making the time and the investment to attend.
Great. And last question here. What's your best piece of advice for young entrepreneurs?
I always like to say that people should not have an emotional attachment to an outcome. And what I mean by that is there are assumptions, and our assumptions are just a statement you make that you prove or you disprove, and then whatever it is that it ends up being, whether it was proven or disproven, then based on that you kind of make your decision or you chart your next path. Versus a bias, and a bias is a prejudice. A bias is something that you're wishing for a specific outcome, almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And when you have an emotional attachment to an outcome, that's a bias. But when you don't have an emotional attachment to the outcome, you are absolutely welcoming whatever lesson that you may receive without any kind of judgment, and you're excited about whatever lesson this is, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, and you take this lesson and you chart wherever it is that you want to go next, whether it's your business idea, it's your life, it's your whatever it is. And by applying that lesson for myself, I find that I'm more welcoming of opposing points of views than I was before. I've learned a great amount by really listening closely to opposing points of views. I may not change my mind, but my mind has been improved. My information has been improved. And just my own personal benefit, plus seeing how not having an emotional attachment to an outcome has helped me in business as well, that's something that I think would be very beneficial for other people to know about as well.
Great. Well, once again, this has been Michael Lukes with Parissa Behnia of 678 Partners. Parissa, thanks again, and we look forward to seeing you at the 2013 CEO National Conference.
Likewise. Thank you so much for your time.